The rain hits the diner window like static. Elena Vasquez wraps a chicken sandwich in foil. Her hands shake as she does it. She glances at the kitchen door. Once. Twice. Then she slides the foil bundle into a plain white takeout bag and tucks it under her apron, against her ribs, like it's something stolen. It is something stolen. Half of her own dinner. The only thing she was allowed to eat during her 14-hour shift. She hasn't eaten today. Not really. A black Mercedes Maybach pulls up outside Rosie's diner on East 9th, its headlights cutting through the rain like two cold eyes. Dominic Cassano doesn't need to be here. He owns half the city. He owns men who kill for him without asking why. He has a private chef in a penthouse 40 stories up who could plate a 7-course meal at 2 a.m. if he snapped his fingers. But tonight he's hungry for something simpler. A black coffee. 10 minutes of quiet before the next war starts. He steps inside. The bell over the door rings. Nobody in this diner knows his name carries weight in 6 states. To them he's just a man in a wet coat, cheekbones sharp, eyes sharper. He sits in the corner booth. The vinyl seat creaks under him. He watches. He always watches. That's when he sees her. The waitress with the tired eyes and the bag tucked against her body like a secret heartbeat. She thinks no one's looking. He's wrong. Dominic's jaw doesn't move. His coffee cup doesn't rise to his lips. His whole body goes still the way it does right before he decides something matters. She's not eating that sandwich. She's hiding it. Table 3, you need anything else, hon? The older waitress Marge calls out. Elena's voice cracks just slightly. No. I'm good. She's not good. Dominic can see it in the way her shoulders curl inward, like she's trying to take up less space in the world. She checks the clock above the register. 9:47 p.m. Her shift ends at 10. She grabs her coat off the hook. It's thin. Too thin for November. She tucks the takeout bag deeper inside it, presses it flat against her stomach like she's protecting something alive. Dominic sets down a $100 bill for a $4 coffee. He doesn't wait for change. He follows her out into the rain. Not to hurt her. Not yet even sure why. Just, something in his chest that hasn't moved in years just moved. Elena walks fast down 9th Street, head low, bag hugged tight. She turns into an alley between a laundromat and a shuttered pawn shop. Dominic stops at the mouth of the alley, hidden in shadow, coat collar up against the rain. He watches her climb 3 flights of a rusted fire escape. He watches a window creak open on the 3rd floor of a building that looks like it should have been condemned a decade ago. And then he sees it. A small hand reaches through the window first. Then a second smaller hand. 2 children. No older than 5 or 6. Twins by the look of them, matching gaunt faces pressed to the gap in the glass. Did you bring it? Did you bring dinner? One of them whispers, voice trembling with something between hope and fear. I brought it. I promised, didn't I? Elena's voice cracks on the last word. I promised. She hands the foil bundle through the window like it's made of gold. The children don't fight over it. They don't grab. They split it. Carefully. Evenly. Like they've done this 100 times before. Dominic's stomach turns. Because he knows that kind of careful sharing. He grew up sharing worse things than sandwiches with a sister who didn't survive the winter he turned 9. His fists clench at his sides. Rain drips off his knuckles. Where's your mama tonight? The smaller twin asks, voice small enough to nearly disappear into the rain. Elena's whole body goes rigid. She's coming back soon, baby. Soon. But that was a lie. Dominic could hear it in the half-second pause before she spoke. And that's when Dominic Cassano, a man who has ordered executions with less hesitation than most people order lunch, steps out of the shadows. His boots hit a puddle. The sound is small. But in that quiet alley it might as well be a gunshot. Elena spins around, eyes wide, one hand instinctively rising to block the window from view. Who's there? Dominic doesn't answer right away. He just looks up at the window. At 2 small faces frozen mid-bite. At a woman standing between him and them like she'd take a bullet before she'd let anyone reach those children. I'm not here to hurt you, he says finally, voice low, rough. But I need to know who those kids are. Elena's chin lifts. Chin trembling but lifted. Then you'll have to go through me first. She has no idea who she just said that to. She has no idea her whole life is about to change. Elena Vasquez is 26 years old and hasn't slept a full night in 11 months. She works doubles at Rosie's Diner Monday through Saturday. Sundays she cleans offices downtown for hours, cash only, no questions asked. She used to want to be a nurse. That dream folded up small enough to fit in a drawer she doesn't open anymore. Her studio apartment, one room, water-stained ceiling, a mattress on the floor, isn't hers anymore either. Not really. Not since her sister Marisol disappeared 11 months ago and left 2 5-year-old twins behind, a rent she couldn't cover, and a silence that never got explained. She'll come back, Elena tells the twins every single night. Mama always comes back. She doesn't believe it anymore. But the twins do. And that's enough reason to keep saying it. The boy is named Mateo. Quiet. Watch everything. Counts things when he's scared, stares, cracks in the ceiling, the seconds until his sister falls asleep. The girl is named Luna. Louder. Braver. The one who asks the hard questions Mateo won't say out loud. Auntie Ellie, are we gonna get to eat breakfast tomorrow too? Luna asked last Tuesday. Elena had smiled so the tears wouldn't fall. Every day, baby. I promise. Every day she skips lunch to keep that promise. Now standing in the rain with a stranger who smells like money and danger blocking the alley exit, Elena feels that promise hanging by a thread. Dominic doesn't move closer. He keeps his hands visible, low, non-threatening. A habit from a lifetime of making frightened people believe he isn't the danger in the room even when he is. I saw you take food off your own plate, he says. I saw you climb 3 flights in the rain to feed 2 kids who aren't yours. Elena's breath catches. They are mine, she snaps. Not by blood maybe. But mine. Something in Dominic's chest tightens at that. A vein pulses faintly at his temple. He knows exactly what it means to claim a child that isn't legally, biologically yours. And mean it more than most parents mean their own promises. I'm not calling anyone, he says. Not CPS. Not the cops. I don't work with cops. Elena's eyes narrow, sizing him up properly for the first time. The tailored coat, the way he stands like he's used to rooms rearranging themselves around him. Then what do you want? Dominic's answer surprises even himself. I want to know what they eat tomorrow too. He pulls a card from his coat pocket. Plain black, no name, just a number embossed in silver. Call this if you need anything. Anything at all. Elena stares at the card like it might bite her. I don't take charity from strangers in expensive coats. A ghost of something, almost a smile, crosses Dominic's face. Good. Neither do I. He turns to leave. Stops. What's her name? He asks, nodding up at the window where Luna's face has reappeared, curious now instead of scared. Luna, Elena says before she can stop herself. The boy is Mateo. Dominic nods once like he's filing the name somewhere permanent. Then he's gone, swallowed by the rain and the dark end of the alley. Elena climbs back up the fire escape, heart hammering. Who was that man? Mateo asks the second she's through the window, counting the raindrops still clinging to her coat like he needs the number to feel steady again. Nobody, Elena lies, tucking a blanket around his shoulders. Just somebody who got lost. But nobody gets lost in an alley like that. Not by accident. And nobody hands out a black card with a silver number unless they expect it to be used. Later that night, after the twins are finally asleep, tangled together on the one mattress, Luna's hand fists in Mateo's sleeve even in sleep. Elena sits by the window and turns the card over and over in her fingers. No name. Just a number. And underneath it, in small silver letters she almost misses. You're not alone anymore. Her thumb traces the words. He thinks about Marisol. About the last text her sister ever sent. 3 words sent at 2 a.m. 11 months ago. Keep them safe. Elena has kept that promise every day since, on an empty stomach in a building the landlord keeps threatening to shut off the heat in. She doesn't know that the man who just left is the reason her landlord has been strangely, suspiciously patient the last 6 months. She doesn't know he's been watching this building longer than tonight. She has no idea how much Dominic Cassano already knows about her sister's disappearance. Because the truth is, he's been looking for Marisol Vasquez for almost a year. And he never expected to find her children hiding in an alley, eating half a stolen sandwich in the rain. Dominic doesn't go home that night. He goes to the one place in the city where the walls don't talk. A converted warehouse near the docks that his organization uses for things that never make it into police reports. His right hand, Sal Moretti, is waiting, sleeves rolled up, laptop open. You said find Marisol Vasquez, Sal says without looking up. Took some digging. She's a ghost boss. No socials past a year ago. No employment records. No hospital visits, no arrests, nothing. Dominic's jaw tightens. Everyone leaves a trace. Everyone except people who are supposed to disappear. Sal finally looks up. You think she's dead? Dominic doesn't answer right away. He's thinking about two small faces in a third-floor window. About a girl named Luna who split a stolen sandwich evenly without being told to. She has kids, Dominic says quietly. Twins. 5 years old. Living with the sister in a building that should have been condemned 2 winters ago. Sal sits back. That changes things. Everything changes things, Dominic mutters. He walks to the window looking out over black water and city lights. 11 months ago, a woman named Marisol Vasquez worked as a bookkeeper for Alessandro Reyes, a name that makes even Dominic's most loyal men go quiet in a room. Reyes runs the East Side. Drugs, human trafficking dressed up as employment agencies, and a smile that's fooled city councilmen for a decade. Marisol had found something in the books. Something that didn't add up. Something Reyes couldn't afford anyone finding. And then she vanished. Nobody. No ransom. No trace. Just 2 children left behind with an aunt working double shifts to keep them fed. You think Reyes had her killed, Sal says. It's not a question. I think, Dominic says slowly, Reyes had her taken. There's a difference. Because dead women don't need to be hidden. They just need to be buried. But a woman who knows where the bodies are, figuratively and possibly literally, a woman like that gets kept alive. Difference. Leverage. A warning to anyone else who might get curious. Dominic's phone buzzes. A photo from one of his men stationed near Rosie's diner. Per standing orders nobody questioned because nobody questions Dominic's orders. The photo shows Elena hours earlier at the diner counter, arguing quietly with a man in a cheap suit, Reyes's collector, the same man who's been checking in on the building where Elena and the twins live. Dominic's blood runs cold. He zooms in. The collector is holding something out to Elena. A folded piece of paper. Dominic calls Sal over. Get me everything from this building's landlord. Everything. 20 minutes later, Sal has an answer that makes Dominic's stomach drop. Buildings owned through a shell company, Sal says. Shell company traces back 3 layers to Reyes, Dominic finishes. Reyes owns the building Elena and the twins live in. Reyes has been letting them stay, not out of mercy but because it's easier to watch a rat's nest when you own the walls. Dominic's hands curl into fists on the table. Because that means every night Elena climbs that fire escape, every night she tucks her nieces and nephew into a blanket on a stained mattress. Reyes has eyes on that building. Reyes knows about the twins. The only question is how long before Reyes decides 2 5-year-olds who might remember something their mother told them become a liability instead of leverage. Back in her apartment, Elena can't sleep. He keeps thinking about the black card. About cold gray eyes that watched her in that alley like he was trying to solve a puzzle. She doesn't notice the folded paper still crumpled in her coat pocket. The one the collector handed her at the diner that afternoon. The one she shoved away without reading because she already knew what it would say. Final notice. Rent adjustment. Vacate by the 15th unless terms are met. Terms. She knows what that word means from men like that. It never means money. Luna stirs in her sleep, murmuring something Elena can't quite catch. Find her. Elena freezes. Luna, baby, wake up. What did you say? Luna's eyes flutter open, hazy with sleep. Mama said, if the bad man came, find her at the blue house. The one with the boat. Elena's whole body goes cold. What blue house, baby? When did Mama say that? But Luna is already drifting back to sleep, the memory slipping away like water through fingers, the way children's memories do. Elena sits frozen in the dark. The blue house. The one with the boat. Means nothing to her. And everything. Because it's the first new piece of information about her sister in 11 months. Buried inside a 5-year-old's half-asleep memory, surfacing at the worst possible time. Somewhere across the city in a room with blackout windows and the smell of expensive cigars, Alessandro Reyes stares at a photo pinned to a corkboard. 2 children. A waitress. A building he's been patiently letting them rot inside. They're getting comfortable, he tells the man beside him, voice smooth, unbothered. Comfortable people get careless. Careless people talk. He taps the photo of Luna. Kids remember more than their parents think. Keep watching. The second one of them says something useful. We move. He smiles. It's not a kind smile. It's the smile of a man who has already decided 2 children are expendable if it protects him. And he has no idea that the man in the alley last night, the one Elena still can't stop thinking about, already knows his name, his building, and exactly what kind of monster he is. To understand why Dominic Cassano can't walk away from 2 hungry children in a rundown apartment, you have to go back 22 years. To a different city. A different kind of cold. Dominic was 7 years old when his father, a low-level enforcer for a crumbling crime family, was gunned down in a dispute over territory that didn't even matter anymore by the time the smoke cleared. His mother didn't survive the grief long after. Not physically, she just stopped fighting for reasons to keep going. That left Dominic and his little sister Sophia, 4 years old, in an apartment with no heat and less food, raised by a system that lost track of them within a month. Dominic remembers the winter she turned 5. He remembers giving her his portion of dinner more nights than he can count. He remembers her small hands always cold. He remembers rubbing them between his own, whispering, "I've got you. I've got you, Sophia." He remembers the fever that came in February. The one that wouldn't break. He remembers running 6 blocks in the snow to a free clinic that had already closed for the night. Pounding on the door. Nobody answered. He remembers carrying her home, her body too light, too still. Sophia died 3 days later. Pneumonia, the coroner's report said. Untreated. Preventable. Dominic was 9 years old when he buried his sister in a donated plot with a headstone he couldn't afford to engrave properly. He swore, standing there in the snow, that he would never again stand by while a child went hungry, went cold, went unprotected, not while he had breath in his body to stop it. That promise built the man he became. Not the crime. Not the power. Those were just tools. The promise was the foundation. He rose through the ranks of a different organization years later. Not because he loved violence, but because violence, wielded carefully, was the only language that made the world listen to a boy from nowhere. By 34, Dominic Cassano controlled more territory than the family that killed his father ever dreamed of. He built an empire with one unspoken rule that every man under him learned fast. Touch a child, hurt a child, endanger a child, and there is no version of mercy waiting for you. He's ended careers and worse, over less than what Reyes is doing to Elena and those twins. So when he saw Luna's small hand reach through that window last night, something in his chest that had been frozen for 22 years cracked open. Elena has her own weight to carry. Growing up, she and Marisol were inseparable. 2 girls raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs and still somehow made it to every school play, every parent-teacher conference, running on fumes and stubborn love. Marisol was the wild one. The one who fell in love too fast, trusted too easily. Elena was the steady one. The one who held things together when they threatened to fall apart. When their mother passed from a heart condition 6 years ago, it was Elena who handled the funeral arrangements while Marisol cried in the car, unable to walk inside the church. "I don't know how to do this without her," Marisol had whispered. "You don't have to do it alone," Elena told her. "You've got me. Always." That promise mattered more than either of them knew. 2 years later, Marisol got pregnant with the twins. The father long gone before they were even born. A man who wanted nothing to do with fatherhood the moment the test came back positive. Elena helped raise them from their first breath. Diaper changes at 3 a.m. First steps in a cramped living room. First words. Mateo's was no, stubborn even as a baby. Luna's was up, always wanting to be lifted to see more of the world. Then Marisol got the bookkeeping job with Reyes's company. Good pay, she said. Finally, some breathing room. Elena remembers the exact night things changed. Marisol came home pale, hands shaking after finding discrepancies in the company's financial records that didn't match any legitimate business. "Ellie, I think I found something bad," Marisol had whispered, twins asleep in the next room. "Really bad. Like hurt people bad." "Then don't go back," Elena begged. "Please. Quit. We'll figure out money some other way. I can't just quit. He'll know I saw something. I need to be smart about this." 3 weeks later, Marisol left for what she said was a work meeting. She never came home. Elena reported her missing. The police took a report and did nothing else. The kind of thing that happens when the missing person's employer has friends in high places. That was 11 months ago. Since then, Elena has become the only wall standing between two 5-year-olds and a system that would separate them, place them in foster care, scatter the last pieces of their mother's love across strangers' houses. She works 2 jobs. She skips meals. She lies about her sister coming back because the truth is too heavy for small shoulders to carry. Where's Mama? Luna asks sometimes, usually right before bed when the dark makes questions feel safer to ask. She loves you so much, Elena always answers, the closest thing to truth she can offer without breaking completely. So much. It's not a lie. It's just not the whole truth. The whole truth is that Elena doesn't know if her sister is alive. The whole truth is that every night she climbs that fire escape with half a sandwich, she's terrified it might be one of the last nights she gets to do it. That Reyes's patience with a harmless waitress and 2 kids has an expiration date she can't see coming. And now, a stranger with cold eyes and a black card has stepped into her world. A stranger who, 22 years ago, buried a little sister for exactly the kind of neglect Elena is fighting every day to prevent. Neither of them knows it yet. But their broken pasts are about to collide with a very dangerous present. And Alessandro Reyes has no idea what kind of man he just put on his radar. 3 nights later, everything breaks apart at once. Elena is closing up at Rosie's diner, wiping down the counter when her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She almost doesn't answer. Something makes her. Hello. Silence. Then breathing. Then a voice she hasn't heard in 11 months. Ellie. Elena's rag drops from her hand. Mari? Mari, is that you? Oh my God, is that you? Listen to me. Listen fast. Marisol's voice is shaking, rushed, terrified. I don't have much time. Are the twins safe? Are they safe? They're safe, they're with me, I promise. You need to get them out. Tonight. Reyes knows I've been trying to reach you. He's been watching that building for months, waiting to see if I'd try. Elena's whole body goes cold. Waiting for what? To use them, Marisol chokes out. As leverage. To make me talk. Please, Ellie. Please get them somewhere safe. Please. The call cuts off. Dead air. Elena stares at her phone, hands trembling so hard she nearly drops it a second time. She calls back. Straight to voicemail. He tries again. Nothing. Her chest is heaving now, panic clawing up her throat. She grabs her coat. She runs. 6 blocks in record time, lungs burning, rain soaking through her thin jacket. She takes the fire escape 2 rungs at a time. The window is open. Not the way she leaves it. Wide open. Curtain flapping in the wind like something violent just passed through. Matteo? Luna? Silence. Matteo. Luna. Her voice cracks the quiet apart. The mattress is empty. The blanket is on the floor, half dragged like someone grabbed it in a struggle. Luna's stuffed rabbit, the one she slept with every night since she was 2, lies abandoned by the window. Elena's knees buckle. She catches herself on the windowsill, breath ripping out of her in short, broken gasps. No. No, no, no. No, please, no. Her phone rings. She answers so fast she nearly drops it again. Unknown number. Where are they? She screams before the caller even speaks. Where are my babies? A man's voice, smooth, unbothered, chills her worse than the rain. They're safe. For now. But that depends entirely on you, Ms. Vasquez. Who is this? Someone who wants his money's worth from your sister's silence, Reyes says pleasantly, like he's discussing weather. She's been very stubborn. Maybe watching what happens to her sister's kids will loosen her tongue. Please, Elena sobs, sinking to her knees on the cold floor. Please, they're just babies, they don't know anything, please. Bring your sister's flash drive. The one she stole from my office. You have until midnight. I don't have a flash drive, I don't know what you're talking about. The line goes dead. Elena screams into the empty apartment, a sound that has no words in it anymore, just pure animal terror. Her phone buzzes again. A text this time. A photo. Matteo and Luna, tied to chairs in what looks like an abandoned warehouse, tape over their mouths, eyes wide and wet with tears. Elena's whole world narrows to that photo. To Luna's tear-streaked face. To Matteo counting something with his eyes. Probably the ceiling tiles, probably trying to make the fear stop the only way he knows how. He doesn't think. She just moves. She calls the only number she has that might mean anything. The black card. The silver number. Dominic answers on the second ring, already sensing something's wrong from the raw terror in her voice before she even gets a full sentence out. They took them, she sobs. They took them, I don't know where, I don't know what to do, please, please. Where are you? Dominic says, voice suddenly ice flat, all business. Their apartment. Stay there. I'm coming. Do not call anyone else. Do not go anywhere. I'm coming. He hangs up before she can respond. 20 minutes later. 20 minutes that feel like 20 years. The Maybach screeches to a stop outside the building. Dominic takes the fire escape faster than a man his size should be able to move, boots slamming onto rusted metal. He finds Elena curled on the floor, phone clutched to her chest, sobbing so hard she can barely breathe. He kneels in front of her. His hands, the same hands that have ended men's lives without hesitation, reach out gently, carefully, like she's something breakable. Show me, he says quietly. Show me the photo. She hands him the phone with shaking fingers. Dominic's face still goes. Deadly still. The kind of stillness that has made grown men beg for mercy. He recognizes the warehouse in the background of the photo instantly. It's one of Reyes's properties. He's had it flagged for months. I know where this is, he says. Elena's head snaps up. You know where they are? I know exactly where they are. Dominic stands, already pulling out his phone, already dialing Sal, voice sharp and clipped. Get everyone. No. The Delancey Street warehouse. Full team. We move in 20 minutes. He kneels back down in front of Elena, taking her face gently between his hands, forcing her red, tear-swollen eyes to meet his. Listen to me. I need you to trust me. Completely. Can you do that? I don't even know your name, Elena chokes out. Dominic, he says. Dominic Cassano. And I promise you, I will bring those children home tonight. Something in the way he says it, the raw certainty, the barely restrained fury underneath the calm. It cracks through Elena's panic just enough for her to nod. Please, she whispers. Please, they're all I have left. I know, Dominic says, and for a moment 22 years collapse into this one. A little sister's cold hands, a fever that wouldn't break, a promise made in the snow. I know exactly what that feels like. He stands. His whole demeanor shifts. The tenderness folding away, replaced by something cold, controlled, terrifyingly efficient. Sal. Team's moving. I want Reyes's warehouse surrounded in 15 minutes. Nobody touches those kids. Nobody. If anyone looks at them wrong, I want to know their name before I put a bullet in it. He looks back at Elena one last time before he leaves. Stay here. Lock the door. I'll call you the second it's over. And if it's not over? Elena whispers, terror still raw in her voice. If something happens to them. Dominic's jaw tightens. His eyes, usually so guarded, burn with something fierce and absolute. Nothing, he says, is going to happen to those children. Not while I'm breathing. He disappears down the fire escape into the rain, moving with the speed and precision of a man who has done this before. Who has spent 22 years becoming exactly the kind of man who could walk into hell for two children who aren't even his. The Delancey Street warehouse sits at the edge of the docks, rusted metal siding, a single row of dirty windows glowing faint yellow from inside. Dominic's men surround it in silence, moving through shadows like they were born there. Inside, Alessandro Reyes paces in front of two terrified children tied to metal folding chairs. Mateo has stopped struggling. He's counting the rivets on the ceiling beam instead, lips moving silently, eyes glassy with shock. Luna hasn't stopped crying since they grabbed her, muffled sobs pushing against the tape over her mouth. Your aunt's taking her sweet time, Reyes mutters, checking his watch. Guess family loyalty only stretches so far. He crouches in front of Luna, tilting her chin up with two fingers, smiling like he's not terrifying a 5-year-old. Where'd your mommy hide it, sweetheart? The little silver thing. The flash drive. You remember seeing it. Luna sobs harder, shaking her head, eyes wide with pure terror. That's when the warehouse door blows open. Not kicked. Blown. A controlled charge that rips the lock clean off its hinges, metal shrieking against metal. Reyes spins around. What the hell? Dominic Cassano walks through the smoke like something out of a nightmare Reyes didn't know he'd earned. Behind him, a dozen men fan out, guns raised, covering every exit before Reyes's own men can even reach for their weapons. Cassano. Reyes's voice cracks despite his best effort to sound unbothered. This isn't your territory. It became my territory, Dominic says, voice low, lethal, the second you touched those kids. Reyes's eyes flick to Luna, then back to Dominic, calculating fast. Take one more step and I put a bullet in her. His hand drifts toward his jacket. He doesn't make it. Dominic moves. He's across the room before Reyes's fingers even close around the grip of his gun. A blur of motion, fast, brutal, precise. His hand closes around Reyes's wrist, twisting hard. The gun clatters to the concrete floor. Reyes cries out, dropping to one knee, and Dominic doesn't stop there. His other hand grabs a fistful of Reyes's collar, hauling him upright, slamming him back against the cold metal wall hard enough to rattle the whole structure. You put your hands on children, Dominic snarls, voice shaking with a rage 22 years in the making. You put your hands on children to get to their mother. She stole from me. Reyes gasps, blood trickling from his split lip. She was going to the FBI. She was going to save the world from men like you. Dominic cuts in, ice-cold fury replacing the shaking. And instead of coming after her, you came after them. Behind him, Sal moves fast, cutting the ropes binding Mateo and Luna, gentle despite the chaos, murmuring soft reassurances. You're okay. You're okay now. Nobody's gonna hurt you. Luna practically launches herself into Sal's arms the second her hands are free, sobbing into his shoulder. Mateo doesn't move at first, frozen, shock still, until Sal crouches to his level, voice soft. Hey buddy. You're safe. I promise. Your aunt's coming. Something in Mateo breaks loose at that. He starts shaking, tears finally spilling over as the adrenaline drains out of him. Reyes, still pinned against the wall, tries one last card. You kill me, Cassano, you start a war. My people won't let this go. Dominic leans in close, voice dropping to something almost gentle, which is somehow more terrifying than the fury. I'm not going to kill you. Reyes's eyes flicker with something like relief. It doesn't last. I'm going to make sure every piece of evidence Marisol Vasquez ever gathered against you makes its way to the FBI, the D, and every reporter in this city who still has a spine, Dominic continues. I'm going to make sure you spend the rest of your life in a cell small enough that you'll dream about this warehouse. And every single person you thought was loyal to you. He glances meaningfully at Reyes's men, still frozen at gunpoint, none of them moving to defend their boss. Is going to remember that you sent them to kidnap 5-year-olds. Men don't forgive that. Not even men like this. He releases Reyes, letting him crumple to the floor. Take him, Dominic says to Sal. Somewhere quiet. I want him alive when the feds get him. Alive and talking. As Reyes is dragged away, still sputtering threats that land like empty air, Dominic turns to the corner of the warehouse. A side room, door slightly ajar. He steps inside. And freezes. Marisol Vasquez is there. Alive. Bound to a chair, bruised, exhausted, but alive. Her head snaps up at the sound of footsteps, eyes wide with terror until she registers Dominic isn't one of Reyes's men. "Pie kids," she rasps immediately, voice raw from screaming. "Please, my kids, where are my—" "They're safe," Dominic says, already cutting her restraints. "They're safe. Your sister's on her way." Marisol collapses forward the second her hands are free, sobbing with relief so total it looks almost like pain. "I found everything," she gasps. "Reyes's financial records, the trafficking routes, all of it. I hid it. I hid it to keep it safe, and it almost got my babies killed. It's going to save a lot of other kids now," Dominic says quietly. "That matters. That matters more than you know." Outside, Elena's Uber screeches to a halt at the edge of the police perimeter that's already forming. She doesn't wait for permission. She sprints past officers, past crime scene tape, screaming 2 names into the night. Mateo. Luna. And then she sees them, running toward her, Luna's small legs pumping as fast as they can carry her, Mateo close behind. Elena drops to her knees and catches them both at once, arms wrapping around 2 small, shaking bodies, sobbing so hard she can barely breathe. "I've got you. I've got you. I've got you both, I promise, I promise, I promise." Luna's small fists clutch at her aunt's coat like she'll never let go again. Auntie Ellie, there was a bad man and Mama was there, Mama was there. Elena's head snaps up. Mama. And there, walking slowly out of the warehouse, supported by one of Dominic's men, bruised but breathing, alive, is Marisol. Elena's whole body goes weightless with shock. Maury, she breathes. Maury. The sisters collide in the middle of the wreckage, sobbing, holding each other so tight it's like they're trying to fuse back into one person after 11 months of being torn apart. Dominic watches from the warehouse doorway, rain finally starting to ease, sirens approaching in the distance. 22 years ago he couldn't save his sister. Tonight he saved someone else's. For the first time in a very long time, something in his chest that's been frozen since that snowy February night finally, quietly begins to thaw. 3 weeks later, Elena wakes up to sunlight. Actual sunlight, warm and golden, pouring through tall windows that don't leak when it rains. The apartment Dominic quietly arranged for them. No strings, he insisted, though Elena still isn't entirely sure she believes that. Has 3 bedrooms, a kitchen that actually works, and a view of the park instead of a brick wall. She pads into the kitchen to find Matteo already awake, sitting at the counter, carefully counting out cereal pieces into 2 bowls, 12 for himself, 12 for Luna, exactly even the way he needs things to be. Morning, buddy, Elena says, ruffling his hair. He doesn't flinch away from the touch anymore, not like he did the first week. That's new. That's healing, one small moment at a time. Mama's making pancakes, Matteo reports. She burned the first one. She said a bad word. Elena laughs. A real laugh, the kind she hasn't had in almost a year. Marisol appears in the kitchen doorway, flour on her cheek, looking exhausted but lighter than Elena's seen her since before the twins were born. I did not say a bad word, Marisol protests. I said fudge. Very clearly. Fudge. You did not, Matteo says deadpan, and Marisol laughs so hard she nearly drops the spatula. Recovery hasn't been simple. Marisol has nightmares most nights. Matteo still counts things when he's anxious, stares, tiles, seconds. Luna still sometimes wakes up crying, reaching for a rabbit that Sal quietly replaced with an identical one from 3 different stores until he found the right shade of gray. But there's laughter in this apartment now. Real laughter. And that's something none of them had 11 months ago. Dominic visits most evenings. At first it was business. Updates on Reyes's trial, on the FBI investigation his evidence helped crack wide open, on the 12 other families his information saved from Reyes's trafficking operation. But somewhere in the last 3 weeks it stopped feeling like business. Tonight he arrives with a bag of takeout from a place 3 blocks from Rosie's diner. Elena's actual favorite, not the diner's leftovers she used to survive on. You didn't have to, Elena says, the way she says it every time, even though some small, healing part of her is starting to hope he keeps doing it anyway. I know, Dominic says simply. Luna barrels into his legs the second he's through the door. Uncle Dom, I made a picture of you. She holds up a crayon drawing. A tall stick figure with a black coat and, inexplicably, a superhero cape. Something shifts visibly across Dominic's face. Something soft. Something that looks almost like it hurts in the best possible way. That's really good, Luna, he manages, voice rougher than usual. You saved us, Luna says simply, like it's the easiest fact in the world. So you're a superhero. Superheroes have capes. Dominic crouches to her level, taking the drawing with careful hands, like it's something precious. I'll keep this, he says quietly. Forever. Later, after the twins are asleep and Marisol has retreated to bed with the particular exhaustion of a mother finally allowed to rest, Elena and Dominic sit on the balcony, 2 mugs of coffee going cold between them, city lights spread out below like scattered stars. You never told me, Elena says quietly, why you followed me that night. Really? Dominic is quiet for a long moment. The kind of quiet that means he's deciding whether to open a door he's kept closed for 22 years. I had a sister, he says finally. Sophia. She was 4 when our parents died. I was 7. Elena doesn't interrupt. She just listens the way she's learned to listen to frightened, careful things. I couldn't save her, Dominic continues, voice low. She got sick. I ran for help. Nobody answered the door in time. Elena's hand finds his on the railing, gentle, uncertain. I've spent 22 years, he says, trying to make sure no other kid goes hungry, goes cold, goes unprotected while I have the power to stop it. That night when I saw you split that sandwich, saw those kids share it so carefully. His voice breaks slightly. He clears his throat, steadying it. I saw Sophia. I saw the exact kind of care that comes from not having enough. And I couldn't walk away. Elena's eyes fill with tears. Not from grief this time, but from something warmer, something that feels dangerously close to hope. Thank you, she whispers. For not walking away. Dominic turns his hand over, lacing his fingers gently through hers. I'm not planning on starting now. Inside, through the cracked balcony door, Luna's laughter drifts from a dream, soft and unafraid. For the first time in a very long time, the apartment feels like something neither of them expected to find again. Feels like home. 6 months later, the kitchen smells like cinnamon and burnt toast. Marisol still hasn't mastered pancakes and nobody minds. Mateo sits at the table, no longer counting ceiling tiles to calm down, but counting out silverware for breakfast instead. A small, ordinary task that means everything. Luna bursts in wearing a superhero cape. An actual one now, a birthday gift from Uncle Dom. Insisting she's going to save the world before school. You already saved someone's world, baby, Elena tells her, kissing the top of her head. Whine. At the courthouse across town, Alessandro Reyes is sentenced to 40 years without parole. Marisol's testimony, backed by evidence Dominic made sure reached the right hands, dismantles an entire trafficking network that had operated in the shadows of this city for a decade. 12 families, previously trapped in Reyes's operation, are reunited or freed in the months that follow. 12 families who will never know that a waitress hiding a sandwich in a takeout bag is the reason their nightmare ended. Marisol goes back to school, nursing this time the dream Elena once folded away, resurrected in her sister's hands instead. You always wanted to help people, Marisol tells her. I figured somebody in this family should finally get the chance. Elena still works at Rosie's diner sometimes, not because she has to anymore, but because Marge cried actual tears the day Elena came back just to say hello, and some things, some people, are worth keeping close even after the hardest days end. But mostly, Elena is enrolled in community college now. Nursing prerequisites, slow and steady, paid for quietly by a man who insists it isn't charity, just an investment in someone who's earned every chance she never got. Every Sunday, the whole makeshift family gathers at Dominic's penthouse, a place that used to echo with silence, now filled with the sound of 2 5-year-olds racing down hallways that were never meant for children until Dominic decided they should be. Mateo has a chessboard set up permanently in the study now. Dominic taught him 3 months ago, and the boy who once counted rivets to survive his fear now counts moves ahead on a board, calm, focused, thriving. Luna has claimed an entire wall for her drawings. Dozens of them now, all featuring a tall man in a black coat with a cape that was never really there, except in the ways that matter most. Tonight, on the balcony where a promise first took root, Dominic gets down on one knee. Not with grand speeches. Not with an audience. Just Elena, the city lights, and a plain silver band. Simple, honest, exactly her. I spent 22 years, he says, voice steady despite the way his hands aren't quite, believing I'd already lost my chance at family. Then I watched you split a sandwich in an alley and give away the only thing you had left to eat. Elena's eyes fill with tears, both hands pressed to her mouth. You didn't just feed those kids that night, Dominic continues. You reminded me what it means to protect something without expecting anything back. I don't want to just protect you and Mateo and Luna and Marisol from a distance anymore, Elena. I want to build a home with you. All of us. For real. Yes, Elena breathes before he even finishes the question. Yes, Dominic. Yes. Inside, through the glass door, 2 small faces watch, pressed together, grinning. Does this mean he's really our uncle now? Luna whispers. He already was, Mateo says simply. This just makes it official. That's the thing about family, isn't it? Sometimes it isn't the blood you're born into. Sometimes it's the sandwich split evenly between 2 hungry children. It's a stranger who chooses to follow you into the rain instead of walking away. It's a promise kept on an empty stomach night after night, long before anyone was watching. Elena used to believe love meant sacrificing everything and hoping someone noticed. She learned something different this year. She learned that real protection doesn't ask to be repaid. That Real family chooses you back over and over, especially on the nights you have nothing left to give. Marisol survived because her sister never stopped believing she'd come home. Mateo and Luna survived because 2 people, One desperate, one powerful. Both decided a child's hunger, a child's fear, was something worth standing between and the whole world. And Dominic, who once believed his capacity for tenderness died in the snow with his sister, learned that some promises don't end when the person you made them for is gone. Sometimes they just find a new place to live. So here's the question worth sitting with tonight. If you saw someone quietly sacrificing for another person, hiding it, not asking for credit, not asking for help, would you notice? And if you did, would you be brave enough to step out of the shadows the way Dominic did and simply say, "You are not alone anymore"? Tell me in the comments, has someone ever shown up for you exactly when you needed it most without you ever having to ask?